Hey everyone, good morning. Have you ever felt a strange pull towards someone, without reason, without proof, but deep down, you knew they were thinking about you too? It's like an invisible thread between you both, a late night thought, a random memory, a sudden urge to check your phone. These aren't coincidences, they're signs. Powerful signs. Because when two souls are energetically connected, the universe starts whispering through subtle moments. You may not talk every day, may not even be together, but if you're still feeling them without explanation, chances are they're feeling you too. Here are 10 signs that reveal you're both thinking about each other, and it's deeper than you imagined. There's something you feel that you can't quite explain, a presence in the air, a sensation that lingers even when you're alone. You're going about your day, doing something completely ordinary, folding laundry, scrolling your phone, staring out the window, and then they suddenly come to mind. Not just a passing thought, but an undeniable wave that hits you in your chest. It feels real, like they're near, like if you turned your head fast enough, they'd be standing right there. You don't know why you're thinking of them right now. There's no recent message, no new photo, no obvious trigger. Just a sudden warmth, a quiet ache, or a strange heaviness that settles in your body. You wonder what they're doing. You wonder if they're thinking about you too. And the craziest part is, you know they are. You feel it. Deep in your bones, deep in your heart. It's as if their energy reached out and touched yours, without a word, without warning. This is what happens when emotional connection defines physical contact. It's not about whether you spoke yesterday or haven't seen each other in months. There's a bond that still breathes underneath the silence. And when it's alive, it speaks in sensations. These moments where they crash into your mind without explanation, not imagination or coincidence. It's not nostalgia pretending to be something deeper than its connection. Because when two people have truly felt each other, shared vulnerability, intimacy, laughter, pain, truth, that connection leaves an impact. It doesn't just vanish, it lingers in your nervous system, your subconscious, your emotional memory. And sometimes, when they're missing you or thinking of you with depth and focus, that energy transfers. It's subtle, it's silent, but it's real. You feel them even when there's no sound. You sense them in high places, in the way your body moves, the way your chest twinkles, the way your eyes suddenly get lost in space. It might feel like daydreaming, but you weren't daydreaming. Present and focused, until something shifted. It's almost like an invisible cord of meditation. You can't trace the surface line of vibe from surface. You know their name before the thought completes itself. You know the feeling that follows isn't yours alone. It carries weight, emotion, sometimes longing, sometimes hope, sometimes even peace. But it always feels mutual, like someone, somewhere, is reaching out, just not with hands. This kind of connection doesn't require words. In fact, it often survives in silence. You haven't spoken to each other in weeks, but you keep getting reminders, not just signs from the universe, but feelings from inside you. Maybe you wake up at the same time every night, thinking about them. Maybe you hear a line from a movie or song that hits differently. Maybe you have a sudden urge to message them and stop yourself, only to feel a rush of sadness, as if they were hoping you'd reach out to. These aren't accidents. These are energetic cues. When two people are thinking about each other at the same time, a kind of loop forms. Thoughts carry energy, and when someone thinks about you with focus and emotion, whether with love, regret, or longing, that energy moves. It moves through the unseen space between you. It lands as intuition, as a shift in your body, as the sudden awareness that something is tugging on you from the inside. And even if you don't understand it, even if you brush it off, it keeps returning, because connection doesn't die when contact ends. It softens, it changes form, but it still whispers. And you hear it when you're quiet enough to listen. So when they come to mind suddenly, when their presence fills you out of nowhere, trust that feeling. Don't ignore it. Don't second guess it. Especially if it's accompanied by emotion. Especially if it's vivid. That's often when they're feeling the same pull. That's when their thoughts are reaching you, even if they don't realize it. That's the beauty of real connection. It doesn't need intention to be real. It just needs truth. If their heart has unfinished things to say to yours, it will find a way to knock. And if your heart is open, you will feel it. Many people experience this and don't know how to explain it. They think they're being sentimental or overthinking, but what they're really feeling is resonance. Energetic resonance is when two frequencies align. And when you've been emotionally close to someone, especially in love, your frequencies often calibrate. Even after separation, that alignment echoes. And when you're both thinking of each other deeply, it strengthens. It becomes a loop, a pulse, a shared moment, felt across time and space. This doesn't always mean you're meant to get back together. It doesn't always mean action is required. But it does mean the connection is still alive in some form, that your souls remember each other, that despite whatever life has done to pull you apart, something sacred still exists between you. And that's not something to ignore, it's something to honor. Because not everyone gets to feel that kind of mutual pull. Not everyone gets to be thought of as deeply as they are thinking of someone else. So the next time they come into your thoughts with intensity, pause, breathe, close your eyes and ask yourself, is this just me? Or are we both feeling this? And more whisper the answer, you'll know without proof, without words. Because the heart speaks in a language deeper than logic. There's a magic in timing that can't be faked. It's when you reach for your phone to text them and suddenly, before your fingers hit the keyboard, their message appears. Or maybe you're scrolling and see their name pop up at the exact moment they were holding your thoughts. You tell yourself it's just coincidence, but how many times can something feel like fate before you start pulling the chance? When people are emotionally tuned to each other, their thoughts and intentions often align without effort. This isn't just a romantic fantasy, it's a real, energetic alignment, and it reveals itself through moments of perfect, almost eerie synchronicity. This sign is one of the clearest. You both reach out at the same time. It's not forced, it's not planned, it's spontaneous and completely genuine. Maybe you hadn't spoken in a while. Maybe you were both holding back, unsure if you should break the silence. But something inside you says, just reach out, so you go on, and find out they were doing the same. That moment doesn't just feel surprising, it feels sacred, like you were heard before you even spoke, like your heart knocked on the door, and they were already waiting on the other side. What's powerful about these moments isn't just that. They happen as what they need. Reaching out at the same time is proof of an emotional bridge that still stands strong, even when time and distance have tried to tear it down. It means your thoughts don't just visit and land, they make an impact. And when they think of you at the same moment you're thinking of them, it's not just shared nostalgia. It's an unspoken connection still pulsing with life. These experiences usually come with a rush of emotion. When you see their message or missed call right as you are typing theirs, your breath catches, your chest tightens not from fear, but recognition. It's a moment that reminds you that connection is still alive, that something deeper still exists. You can feel the timing wasn't an accident. It wasn't just you missing them. It was them missing you, too. And somehow, the universe made the path between you a little shorter, just long enough for two fingers to touch across time. This kind of mutual reaching out doesn't need to happen often to be powerful. Even once is enough to leave a mark. It reminds you that connection isn't always maintained through words, it's maintained through energy, through thought, through emotion. When someone is holding you in their heart at the exact moment you're holding them in yours, it's a form of invisible contact that transcends logic. It's the soul speaking when words haven't been exchanged in a long time. And when it happens, it can shake you. Not because it's confusing, but because it's comforting in a way you forgot you needed. Some people feel this so strongly that they begin to sense the patterns. They start to know the difference between casual memory and connected thought. There's a certain weight to these moments of gravity that you can feel in your chest. You know you're not imagining it. You know this isn't just you clinging to the past, because it doesn't feel like the past. It feels current, active, like something. It is still flowing between you both. And if it happens more than once, that's when you really have to pay attention. Because the heart doesn't knock twice without reason. You start to wonder, what's unfinished, what's unspoken? What emotion is still lingering between us that keeps pulling our minds toward each other? Is it love, closure, curiosity, forgiveness? Sometimes it's all of those things at once. Sometimes it's not about rekindling the relationship, it's about acknowledging that the bond was never meaningless, that what you had still echoes, even in silence. One of the most telling things is how these moments feel when they happen. There's a strange peace, a soft wave of comfort. It doesn't feel forced, it feels effortless, as if your souls arranged. This little meeting without your minds interfering, and it always leaves a mark, even if you don't reply, even if they don't. The moment still lives, still reminds you that no matter how separate your lives may seem, there's a shared thread that still tugs gently in the dark. This kind of synchronicity is not always easy to explain to others. People may brush it off as chance or coincidence, but the truth is, when you felt it deeply when you lived through moments when someone reached out exactly as you were thinking, you know there's more to it. You know the connection wasn't sudden, just quiet, just patient, waiting for one or both of you to find the courage to acknowledge it again. You don't need to act on every connection, but you should honor it. You should recognize when something this rare makes its presence known, because life is full of moments, full of distractions. When timing aligns like this, when two people think of each other and reach out at the same time, that's not noise. That's a signal. That's the universe reminding you that something still matters, that a bond still breathes. So, it happens to you. Let it humble you, let it soften you, let it remind you that people are truly connected never fully confuse us, not in spirit, not in God. And if the moment comes again, the timing once more feels too perfect to be accidental, feel it, recognize it, and know that somewhere, at the very same time, someone else is feeling it too. There's a moment that catches you off guard and that doesn't come with notification or call, but something far more intimate, a dream. You wake up feeling like they were just there. The details are blurry. The setting may not make perfect sense, but their presence, that was real. You could feel their voice, their eyes, the way they smiled, and more than anything, you could feel the emotion, the way your chest felt heavy or warm or open. Dreams like this don't feel like imagination. They feel like a visit, like a message wrapped in silence. And when two people are thinking about each other, especially with strong emotion. Those thoughts often travel into dreams. This isn't about fantasy or subconscious desire alone. It's about the emotional channel that remains open even after words stop. When you've been connected deeply with someone, a part of them remains in your emotional system. That part doesn't always speak in waking life. It comes alive when your conscious mind is finally quiet, when your guard is down, when your logic sleeps, and your heart gets to talk freely. That's why these dreams feel different. They don't come as random memories. They come with meaning, with a vibe, with a pull. You wake up and your first thought isn't confusion, it's them. The emotions you felt in the dream often stay with you throughout the day. And sometimes you find yourself checking your phone, wondering if they felt it too. What's even more revealing is when the dreams feel mutual. You see them in yours, and then find out days later from conversation, social media, or even they had a dream about you too. That kind of shared subconscious interaction isn't coincidence. It's the result of a bond still alive between two souls. When emotions run deep, whether romantic, unresolved, or deeply affectionate, can ripple into the subconscious. And if both people are still energetically tuned into each other, that bond can meet halfway. In dreams, what makes this even more fascinating is how specific these dreams can feel. Sometimes they involve moments that never happened in real life but feel so familiar, as if they should have. You walk together through a place you've never been. You say things you never got to say. They apologize. You forgive. You laugh, and it feels more healing than anything you've experienced. Awake. These aren't just dreams, they're heart-space conversations. Encounters between souls that didn't need words, didn't need reality, just needed an opening to reconnect. Dreams like this often come when you've been avoiding your emotions, or when you've been trying to let go of someone who still lingers in your spirit. You tell yourself you're over it. You've moved on, but then you wake up, shaken, quiet, full, as if your heart remembered something your mind was trying to forget. That's what real connections do. They surface when you least expect them, especially in your sleep. It's your heart's way of checking in, reminding you that love and memory don't just disappear because time passed or silence took over. Some people report having recurring dreams about someone they can't forget, not just once or twice, but often, sometimes even years later. The faces stay the same, but the context changes. One night it's a reunion, another night it's closure, another, it's just the feeling of standing beside each other with no words spoken at all. These recurring dreams are signs that your subconscious is still processing something that mattered deeply. And when you're not the only one having them, that's when it becomes clear that something between you is still active, still moving beneath the surface. There's also a subtle comfort that comes after these dreams, even when they make you emotional. It's the strange peace of knowing that part of the connection is still alive, that you haven't been forgotten, that somewhere, somehow, you're still touching each other's lives, if not in the physical world, then in the emotional or spiritual one. And that realization is powerful. It doesn't always mean you're supposed to reconnect in real life, but it does mean the bond left a permanent mark. It means what you had was genuine and is still being felt. Many people dismiss dreams as meaningless, but if you've ever had one of these intense encounters, you know better. You know the difference between a regular dream and one that shakes your chest. You know the difference between imagination and emotional memory. And most importantly, you know the difference between a lonely thought and a shared connection. So the next time they appear in your dream, don't just brush it off. Don't call it random. Pay attention. Ask yourself what you felt, what you heard, what the dream was trying to show you, because chances are there's a message there. A sign that you're not alone in your thoughts. A sign that somewhere in their own quiet world, they're feeling the same pull, the same longing, the same wondering. And sometimes dreams say what our waking selves are too afraid to speak aloud. They remind us of the truth we buried, the people we still carry, the love that didn't die, it just went silent. But silence isn't absence. Silence often holds more meaning than words. And when that meaning leaks into your dreams, it's not just nostalgia. It's connection, alive, breathing, and still reaching for you in the night. There are times when you're just living your life, completely immersed in the day, and suddenly your mood shifts. Out of nowhere, something feels off. You were fine just a moment ago, smiling, laughing, or working, but now there's a wave, a tightness in your chest, a rush of anxiety, a drop in your spirit, or maybe even a deep, unexplained peace. You check yourself. Nothing happened. No trigger. No reason. But it's there. And it's real. These are the moments most people ignore, chalking them up to mood swings, hormones, or stress. But what if that emotion doesn't belong to you? What if what you're feeling is someone else's energy finding its way to you? When two people have a deep emotional bond, they become attuned to each other's energy in ways that are difficult to explain but impossible to deny. Their inner states, what they're going through emotionally, even from far away, can sometimes resonate with you physically. You can feel their sadness even if you're having a great day. You can sense their longing even if you haven't spoken in weeks. And sometimes, that emotion sneaks into you like a whisper you can't quite hear, but fully understand. It doesn't always shout, it doesn't always come with a name, but it changes your internal weather like clouds moving over sunlight. And if they're thinking of you, feeling you, missing you in that very moment, your heart can pick up that signal without needing proof. People underestimate the sensitivity of the human spirit. We think only words carry meaning, only touch holds weight, only action can connect us. But emotional energy doesn't follow those rules. It flows freely. It finds the cracks. It enters you when you're soft and unguarded, especially when the connection between two people is left open. Unfinished conversations, unresolved feelings, unspoken truths. That energy builds. And when one person feels it intensely enough, it sends out ripples. Ripples that reach the other person like invisible waves. And suddenly, you're carrying emotions that didn't originate inside of you, but they feel so familiar. This is especially strong when love is involved. Real deep, unfiltered love. The kind of love that changes your emotional DNA. Even after separation, that emotional frequency doesn't just disappear. It hides. Maybe it softens. But the moment one person feels a surge of emotion, it activates the cord between you both. A rush of thoughts, a sharp memory, a longing breath. And if your soul is still sensitive to theirs, you'll feel it. Your body will react. Before your mind catches up, you'll pause mid-sentence. You'll feel a sudden rush of energy in your chest, your gut, your hands. You'll stop and wonder, why am I feeling this way? And the answer you don't say out loud is always the same. I know it's them. Sometimes it happens while you're listening to music. A song plays that you haven't heard in ages, and the moment it starts, emotion floods your chest like a dam breaking. You weren't even thinking of them, but now, they're all you can think about. That's not just memory, that's resonance. The music becomes a conduit, a moment where emotional frequencies align. And if they're thinking of you, listening to that same song, or feeling those same emotions, you feel it in your bones, not as a thought, but as a full body response. There are also moments of tension. You can feel irritated, restless, unsettled, and you won't understand why. You'll try to shake it off, distract yourself, blame it on caffeine or sleep, but nothing works, because that energy isn't yours, it's theirs. It's their conflict, their emotional storm, leaking into your atmosphere. And because you're still connected, your emotional body picks it up. Like radio towers tuned into the same channel, you start broadcasting their mood. You carry a piece of their weight even when they don't ask you to. Some people are more sensitive to this than others. Empaths, intuitives, people who love deeply, often feel these energetic shifts the strongest, but anyone with an open heart and an unresolved emotional bond can experience it. It's not something you control. It's not something you can always explain, but it's something you know. It's instinctive. You feel it in your chest before your head even begins to analyze it. And sometimes, it brings tears you didn't expect, smiles you can't explain, or silence that feels louder than any noise around you. If this has happened to you before, if you've ever felt overcome with emotion and immediately thought of a certain person, don't ignore it. That's not just nostalgia. That's not just grief. That's communication. That's the heart whispering something the mind can't quite catch. It doesn't always mean they're in pain. Sometimes, they're just thinking of you fondly. Sometimes they miss you. Sometimes they're in awe of the connection and are sending that energy to you without knowing it. And sometimes, they're hoping you feel it too. The beauty of this kind of emotional exchange is that it proves love isn't confined by time or space. It lives in the body, in the nervous system, in the spaces between thoughts. When two people are still connected in the invisible places, their emotional rhythms start to intertwine. They may not be talking, they may not be near, but they are still with each other, still exchanging fragments of feeling across the great divide. So the next time you feel a sudden emotional shift, pause, listen, feel, ask yourself who came to mind. Ask yourself what your heart is trying to tell you, because if it's them, and it often is, they may be feeling that same shift, wondering why their chest is heavy or their mind is drifting back to you. That's not coincidence. That's the ache of mutual memory. That's the echo of two hearts still reaching for each other, in the only language they still share, feeling. There's a reason some people never fully leave your heart, even if time and silence try to bury them. When two souls are truly connected, the mind may forget, but the heart remembers. These signs aren't just nostalgia, they're signals. If you've seen them, felt them, lived them, don't dismiss it. It might mean it's time to reach out, or time to heal, or simply time to acknowledge that what you shared was real, and still echoes in both your hearts. If you've ever felt this unspoken connection, tell me in the comments. Share your story. Someone out there needs to know they're not alone. And if this message reached you at the exact moment you were thinking of someone, you already know what that means.